Alright, I'm Colin. Let's look at a couple of sketchbooks and see how my story started. So this is a few of my sketchbooks from around 2019. This is around the time that I started to concentrate on drawing my dog characters into a story. So I imagined these guys as late teens, and so I was putting them in situations that I knew from my own teens growing up around the 90s, taking little reference points like the cops and robbers, fruit machine, things that I remember from when I was a teenager growing up, things that you might do, and putting these characters into real life situations. Here's a few rough sketches based on the idea of drawing random shapes and then just filling in the features. Oh, I love this one, the big poppercoo and the cockney sparrow. Over here on the left you'll see some pigeon sketches, and right at the top is the original first cockney sparrow. I can imagine these two rhyming over the rooftops. Here's a few pencil sketches, just action anatomy poses. And on the left you've got the brothers in their car, or their owner's car. And as I mentioned, they don't want to be seen out on their own, and this led to them bending the rules to stay hidden, and in turn they started doing things that were just a little bit naughty and just a little bit funny. Here's just a couple of sketches. I was just trying out something new. This is a badger character who I started to draw. Here he is again. So this is a bit of world building really. It's taking the characters, the whole crew, and seeing how they get around town without being spotted. I kind of feel that people might see them as kids, maybe really hairy kids. So this next one, this is Boogie Time's record shop. It's a real record shop, it doesn't exist anymore, and it's somewhere I used to visit when I was growing up. It was really one of the birthplaces of rave music. The music became quite important to where my character's story went, so I had this idea of them having a flat, maybe it's one of their owners' flats, and then creating a pirate radio station. When you listen to radio, you don't know the faces of the radio presenters, so they could be dogs, which is a bit bonkers, but it could be true. By now the characters were getting names. I quite like these feet running at the bottom. I was working on some sequential type drawings. There was the first couple that I did that had lettering in, and that's when things start to get really busy. These are based on Drew Struzan type posters. I like Drew Struzan's perspective and scaling, and it's a good way to get lots of characters and lots of little stories in one picture. So by now I was really starting to build a world. There was lots going on. It was very London centric, it was very 90s music, and I started doing things around like council flats and stuff. I really like this one. I like all the stories that are going on inside the window. You've got the pirate radio at the top. Let's flick back to this sketchbook. This was done around Halloween, and I just had a fun idea. I was watching a lot of Walking Dead at the time, and I thought that it'd be fun to do a story with a zombie hand in it. And then I started putting the characters in unusual situations. I really like the Ewok, he makes me smile, and using Han Solo's gun down at the bottom with R2-D2. So for this one I thought dogs are quite feisty, and I thought they'd probably take on anything. So here they are rushing into battle in their little car, gonna see off this massive Cthulhu monster. And you know, they'd probably win that battle. I think they'd probably just go to like Big Old One's Burgers and have a little celebrate. So after all this, it got me thinking of like, where does all this magic and monsters come from? And that got me thinking about cats. Cats are strongly linked with magic. You know, cats and dogs don't really get on. So I thought this would be a nice twist on the story. And that's when it really got me thinking, is there a bigger story in this? Because I think there is. Maybe I should write it.